single dad. Ruthless boss. One impossible scene, she's breastfeeding his baby.
It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon in the bustling city of Chicago, and Alex Thompson, a 32-year-old single dad, was about to walk into a moment that would shatter his world and rebuild it in ways he never imagined. The wind howled outside the towering office building of Sterling Enterprises, whipping sheets of rain against the glass windows like nature's own percussion. Alex clutched his briefcase in one hand and the baby carrier in the other, his heart pounding not just from the sprint through the downpour but from the sheer desperation of his situation. Little Ethan, his 6-month-old son, whimpered softly inside the carrier, his tiny fists clenching and unclenching as if protesting the chaos of the day. Alex had no choice but to bring him to work. His babysitter had called in sick with the flu, and with a crucial deadline looming, taking a personal day wasn't an option. He whispered soothing words to Ethan as he entered the elevator, praying that the office would be quiet enough to hide this little secret. But deep down, he knew trouble was brewing. And oh, what trouble it would be. But let's fast forward to the end for just a second. Picture this. 2 lives intertwined forever, a family born from the ashes of loss, and a lesson in vulnerability that turns strangers into soulmates. If that doesn't hook you, stick around because what happened in between is a roller coaster of heartbreak, hope, and humanity that might just change how you see the people around you. But wait, right here, in the first few moments, imagine Alex freezing in the doorway, his heart pounding as he sees something impossible. His boss, the ice-cold CEO, cradling his infant son and breastfeeding him. What on earth was going on? Hold that thought, because the truth behind that scene is about to unfold, and it's more shocking than you think. Alex had always been the kind of guy who kept his head down and powered through life's storms. Born in a quaint small town in rural Illinois, where cornfields stretched endlessly under vast blue skies, he grew up in a modest home with parents who worked tirelessly. His father at a local factory, his mother as a schoolteacher. But when he was just 10 years old, the family shattered like fragile glass. His parents' divorce was messy, filled with late-night arguments that echoed through the thin walls of their house. Alex remembered hiding under his covers, clutching his stuffed bear, wishing he could fix it all. From then on, he bounced between homes every other weekend, learning to pack his life into a duffel bag and adapt to 2 different sets of rules. It instilled in him a fierce determination never to let anyone down the way his father had abandoned them emotionally, even if he sent checks on time. "I'll be better," young Alex promised himself, staring at the stars from his bedroom window. That vow carried him through high school, where he excelled in math and sports, earning a scholarship to the University of Illinois. There, he majored in accounting, drawn to the stability of numbers. Predictable, logical, unlike the chaos of human emotions. In his early 20s, during a campus art fair, he met Sarah. She was a free-spirited painter with wild curly hair the color of autumn leaves and a laugh that bubbled like a mountain stream. Sarah's booth was filled with vibrant canvases depicting dreamlike landscapes, and Alex, awkward in his button-up shirt, stumbled over his words as he complimented her work. "It's like you've captured the soul of the world," he said, blushing. She smiled, her green eyes sparkling, and invited him for coffee. Their connection was instant, a whirlwind romance of late-night talks, picnics by the lake, and shared dreams of a future filled with adventure. They married young, at 25, in a simple ceremony surrounded by friends and family. Sarah wore a flowing white dress she designed herself, and Alex couldn't stop staring at her, thinking he'd won the lottery. They settled in Chicago, where Alex landed his job at Sterling Enterprises, and Sarah pursued her art, selling pieces at local galleries. Life was a beautiful mosaic until they decided to start a family. Ethan's arrival was a joyous chaos. Sarah's pregnancy had been smooth, filled with midnight cravings for pickles and ice cream, and Alex painting the nursery a soft blue. But labor was long and grueling, 18 hours of Sarah's strength shining through every contraction. When Ethan finally cried his first breath, Alex held him, tears streaming down his face. He's perfect, Sarah whispered, exhausted but glowing. For those first few months, they were a team, Alex handling diaper changes with military precision, Sarah nursing Ethan with a tenderness that made Alex fall in love with her all over again. They took long walks in the park, pushing the stroller while dreaming of Ethan's future. Maybe he'd be an artist like his mom or a numbers whiz like his dad. But then, the shadow fell. It started with a lump Sarah found while showering. It's probably nothing, she said, but Alex insisted on a doctor's visit. The diagnosis hit like a freight train, aggressive breast cancer, stage 3. The world tilted. Chemotherapy sessions turned Sarah's vibrant hair into wisps, her energy into fatigue. Alex juggled work, hospital visits, and Ethan, who was too young to understand why mommy was always tired. Sarah fought with everything she had. Alternative therapies, support groups, even painting through the pain, creating abstract works that captured her inner turmoil. "This won't beat me," she'd say, forcing a smile. But the cancer spread relentlessly. In her final weeks, hospice became their reality. Alex held her hand as she whispered, "Promise me you'll love again. For Ethan's sake." She passed on a quiet spring morning, the birds singing outside as if mocking the silence inside. Alex was left with a newborn, a house full of memories, and a grief that clawed at his chest like a wild animal. Burying Sarah was surreal. Family flew in, his mother from Illinois, Sarah's parents from Ohio. They offered help, but Alex pushed them away, insisting he could handle it. "I have to," he told his mom over coffee, his voice cracking. Inside, he was drowning in bills, medical debts piled up like snowdrifts, funeral costs, and now daycare for Ethan while he worked. He returned to Sterling Enterprises after a brief leave, throwing himself into spreadsheets and audits to numb the pain. Colleagues offered condolences, but soon it faded into awkward silences. Alex became a ghost in his own life, surviving on coffee and determination. His boss, Victoria Hale, was a force of nature in contrast. At 38, she was the epitome of corporate success. A self-made CEO who transformed Sterling Enterprises from a humble garage startup into a multi-million-dollar marketing powerhouse. Victoria's office was a sleek sanctuary of glass and steel, overlooking the Chicago skyline. She wore tailored suits that screamed authority, her dark hair pulled into a flawless chignon, and her blue eyes could pierce through excuses like lasers. Employees whispered about her. The Ice Queen, they called her, for her no-nonsense demeanor and legendary boardroom takedowns. Rumors abounded, divorced, childless, perhaps heartless. Some said she'd sacrificed everything for the company, including her soul. Victoria rarely socialized, her evenings were spent reviewing reports or attending industry galas alone. But beneath that facade was a story few knew. Victoria grew up in an affluent suburb of New York, the only child of high-achieving parents. A lawyer father and a professor mother. Expectations were sky-high, straight A's, piano lessons, debate club. She excelled, graduating valedictorian and heading to Harvard Business School on a full ride. There, she met her ex-husband, Mark, a charming finance major with big dreams. They married post-graduation, building a life in Chicago where Victoria founded Sterling. But cracks appeared early, Mark's jealousy of her success, his wandering eye. When Victoria got pregnant unexpectedly at 36, it should have been a joy. But complications arose, preeclampsia, bed rest. Mark grew distant, buried in work, or so he claimed. Lila was born prematurely, tiny and fighting. For a week, Victoria held her in the NICU, singing lullabies, pumping milk around the clock. But Lila's lungs gave out. The loss shattered Victoria. Mark left soon after, admitting an affair. "I can't do this grief thing," he said coldly. Victoria buried her pain in work, donating her frozen breast milk to hospitals as a way to honor Lila. She vowed never to be vulnerable again. Back to that fateful rainy day. Alex's morning at the office started ordinarily, coffee run, emails, crunching numbers for the Peterson account. But Ethan, usually a good baby, had colic that flared up like a storm. By mid-morning, soft whimpers turned to cries. Alex rocked him in the supply closet, offering a bottle of formula he'd packed hastily. Nothing worked. Colleagues peeked in, offering awkward advice. Try burping him. Maybe he's teething. Alex's stress mounted, the presentation was in hours, and Victoria expected perfection. Lunchtime brought the meltdown. In the break room, Ethan wailed, his face beet red. Alex bounced him desperately, sweat trickling down his back. That's when the door swung open, and Victoria entered, her presence sucking the air from the room. She was mid-conversation on her phone, barking orders about a campaign, but stopped short at the noise. "What's this disruption?" she demanded, her gaze locking on Alex like a hawk spotting prey. Alex froze, Ethan squirming in his arms. "Ms. Hale, I'm so sorry. My sitter cancelled, and I didn't have anyone else. It's just for today, I swear I'll keep him quiet." Her eyes narrowed, scanning the scene. Colleagues scattered like leaves in the wind. Victoria ended her call abruptly. "Hand him over," she said, extending her arms with an authority that brooked no argument. Alex hesitated, his protective instincts flaring. "But now, Thompson. Go finish the Peterson file. I'll handle this." Her tone was firm, but there was an undercurrent of something softer, almost maternal. Reluctantly, Alex passed Ethan over. To his shock, Victoria cradled him expertly, cooing softly. There, little one." Ethan's cries softened almost immediately. Alex backed out, bewildered, and dove into his work. The file was complex, market analysis, projections, all needing polish. He lost track of time, fingers flying over the keyboard. An hour passed. Then two. Worry gnawed at him. Where was Ethan? Why hadn't she returned him? Finally, heart thumping, Alex approached Victoria's office. The door was ajar, light spilling out. He knocked lightly, then pushed it open. And there it was, the sight that stopped him cold. Victoria sat in her leather chair, blouse partially unbuttoned, Ethan latched on, nursing contentedly. Her hand gently stroked his downy hair, her face a mask of serene focus. Alex's mind blanked. How was this possible? Breastfeeding required milk, motherhood, but Victoria had no children. Or did she? The room spun. Victoria looked up, her eyes widening slightly, but she didn't panic. "Close the door, Alex," she said calmly. And just like that, the first cliffhanger hit. What secret was she hiding that led to this impossible moment? Was she some kind of imposter, or was there a deeper, heartbreaking truth? Alex complied, his legs shaky as he stepped inside and shut the door with a soft click. The office was immaculate, awards lining the shelves, an abstract painting on the wall that Sarah would have loved. He sank into the guest chair, staring at the scene before him. Ethan made soft sucking sounds, his tiny body relaxed in a way Alex hadn't seen all day. Victoria adjusted her position slightly, not breaking her composure. "He's starving," she explained matter-of-factly. "The formula you had wasn't cutting it. Sometimes they need the real thing." "But, how?" Alex stammered, his cheeks flushing. He wasn't naive, he knew the biology. Lactation didn't just happen. "You're producing milk?" Victoria's gaze softened, a flicker of pain crossing her features. She detached Ethan gently, he dozed off, a dribble of milk on his chin. And handed him back to Alex, who cradled him instinctively. As she buttoned her blouse, she leaned back, sighing deeply. "I had a daughter," she began, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "Lila. She was born 2 years ago. Premature. The doctors did everything, but her little body couldn't fight. She passed after 7 days. Victoria paused, her fingers tracing the edge of her desk. I pumped for months afterward. It was therapeutic, in a way. I donated to milk banks. Helping other babies felt like giving Lila a legacy. Eventually, I stopped, but stress or reminders can trigger it again. You're Ethan, his cry, it's so similar to hers. It pulled at me. Alex's throat tightened. He'd lost Sarah, but a child? The unimaginable. Memories flooded him, holding Ethan for the first time, the fear of fatherhood. To have that snatched away. I can't even begin to understand, he whispered. I'm so sorry, Ms. Hale. Victoria, she corrected gently. And thank you. No one here knows. I keep it locked away. Work is my armor. She glanced at the rain-streaked window. My marriage fell apart during the pregnancy. Mark couldn't handle the uncertainty. He left me alone in that hospital room. Alex nodded, sharing his own scar. My wife, Sarah, she had breast cancer. Diagnosed right after Ethan. She fought hard, but... His voice broke. Victoria reached across the desk, squeezing his hand briefly, a rare gesture of warmth. They sat in companionable silence, the rain a soothing backdrop. Ethan stirred, cooing happily. You've got a fighter here, Victoria said, smiling faintly. Like his dad. Alex left her office that day with a mix of confusion and gratitude. The Peterson presentation went flawlessly, thanks to his completed file. But the encounter lingered. Over the next days, Victoria's demeanor shifted subtly. She'd pass his cubicle, asking, "How's Ethan settling?" Alex answered politely, but wariness remained, she was still his boss. Weeks turned into a tentative alliance. Alex's struggles mounted, Ethan's colic worsened, nights blurred into exhaustion. One Friday, after a brutal week, his car broke down en route to daycare. Panicked, he called the office, but Victoria overheard. "Bring him in," she emailed. "We'll manage." This time, she set up a playpen in a conference room, checking in periodically. Alex watched her interact with Ethan, tickling his toes, making funny faces, and saw glimpses of the woman behind the title. Their conversations deepened. Over a shared lunch in the break room, salads from the deli downstairs, Alex opened up about Sarah's art. She painted these incredible pieces. "I have them stored, Ethan should know her through them." Victoria listened, then shared about Lila's nursery, still untouched in her home. "I can't bear to dismantle it." One evening, after hours, Alex found himself in her office again, Ethan asleep in his carrier. "Why help me?" he asked. "You don't have to." Victoria swirled her coffee. "Because I see myself in you, the isolation, the fight. And Ethan, he deserves more than survival." Her vulnerability cracked her armor further. As spring bloomed into summer, invitations extended beyond work. Victoria suggested a park outing for Ethan's fresh air. They met at Grant Park, Ethan giggling on a blanket as pigeons strutted nearby. Victoria packed a picnic, gourmet cheeses, fruits, sandwiches. "I don't cook much," she admitted, "but I can assemble." Alex laughed, the sound foreign after months of silence. They talked for hours, her Harvard days, his small-town roots. Sparks flew subtly, a shared glance, a brush of hands. But doubt crept in. Alex's mother visited, sensing change. "Who's this Victoria?" she probed over dinner. "Your boss." "Be careful, son." Alex brushed it off, but internally, guilt gnawed. Was he betraying Sarah? Nights, he'd stare at her photo, whispering apologies. Victoria faced her own demons. A board meeting highlighted her distractions, whispers about favoritism. She confided in her best friend, Elena, over wine. He's genuine, Elena. But the power dynamic, it's risky. Their bond grew through small acts. When Ethan hit a milestone, first tooth, Alex texted Victoria a photo. She replied with enthusiasm, then showed up with teething toys. Alex reciprocated, helping with a personal project, organizing Lila's mementos. At her home, a modern loft with lake views, he saw her vulnerability raw, baby clothes folded neatly, ultrasound photos framed. One night, after a company event, they shared a cab. Rain pounded the roof, mirroring that first day. "Alex," Victoria said softly, "this feels like more than help." He turned, their faces close. "It does." Their first kiss was tentative, electric, years of loneliness melting away. But then came the second cliffhanger, the corporate scandal erupted like a volcano. During a routine audit, leaked client data surfaced online, traced to Alex's department. Accusations flew, industrial espionage. The board demanded action. Victoria, torn, had to suspend him. "It's protocol," she said, eyes pleading. Alex felt betrayed. After everything? He stormed out, Ethan in tow. Was their connection a lie? Or was something sinister at play? The suspension was a nightmare. Alex paced his apartment, a cozy two-bedroom filled with Sarah's touches. Her paintings on walls, her favorite throw blanket on the couch. Bills arrived daily, rent, utilities, daycare he couldn't afford without pay. He applied for jobs, but the scandal's shadow loomed, LinkedIn whispers, rejected interviews. Friends called, his college buddy, Mike, offered a loan. "Hang in there, man." But pride stopped Alex. Nights, Ethan sensed the tension, crying more. Alex rocked him, tears mixing with lullabies. Victoria dove into investigation, hiring a cybersecurity firm. Sleepless nights in her office, poring over logs with black coffee. Clues emerged, unauthorized access from an old IP. Her ex, Mark. Confronting him at a neutral cafe, she recorded everything. "Why?" she demanded. He smirked. "You think you can play house with your employee? I'll destroy it all." Proof in hand, hacked via lingering credentials, she cleared Alex. Calling him, voice trembling, it was Mark. "Come back." Alex hesitated. "You doubted me." They met at the park, Ethan chasing butterflies. Hours of raw talk, fears, apologies. "I was terrified of losing everything," Victoria confessed. "But you're my everything now." Alex pulled her close. "We rebuild together." Challenges persisted. Their relationship public, office gossip buzzed. Victoria implemented policies, no direct reporting, fair promotions. Alex earned a raise through merit, leading a team. But blending lives was tricky. Ethan bonded with Victoria, calling her Vicky in toddler speak. Yet, when she moved in, adjustments hit, her minimalist style clashed with his cluttered home. Arguments flared, over chores, work hours. "You're always at the office," Alex accused one night. Therapy helped. A counselor guided them, communication exercises, date nights. Victoria opened Lila's nursery, turning it into a playroom for Ethan. Alex shared Sarah's art, hanging a piece in their living room. Family expanded. Victoria's parents visited, doting on Ethan. Alex's mom warmed, seeing happiness. They married lakeside, intimate, waves lapping, sun setting. Ethan toddled as ring bearer, tossing petals. Vows were heartfelt, from loss, we found love. Honeymoon in Hawaii, but reality returned with Ethan's allergy scare at 3, peanuts, a hospital rush. They faced it united, epinephrine always ready. Years later, a daughter arrived, Sarah Lila, a bundle of joy. Sterling evolved. Parental leave policies, daycare subsidies. Their TED Talk went viral, vulnerability in leadership. Alex reflected on that rainy day, the shock turning to salvation. More trials came, economic downturn tested the company. Victoria's health scare, a benign lump, echoing Sarah's fate. But they persevered, family game nights, vacations. Ethan grew into a kind teen, Sarah Lila artistic. Victoria mentored young women, Alex coached Little League. The third cliffhanger resolved when Mark resurfaced, suing for old assets. Court battles stressed, but truth prevailed. Stronger, they celebrated anniversaries with toasts to resilience. What Alex learned. Pain forges connections. Behind facades are stories begging to be heard. It changed lives, inspiring others to embrace vulnerability. If this story touched you, the way loss leads to love, how kindness ripples, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Thanks for watching.